Peaceful, welcoming to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel, joined by Mr. Keenan Womack and Nash Talks Texas. Gentlemen, how are y'all tonight?
We're doing better than if we lost.
Oh yeah, feeling real nice about a hilarious victory over our friends from East Texas.
You know, these type of wins when you don't expect them, and I can't say I expected either victory that we had over A&M this year. And once again, you know, I'm saying either because we have 2 wins. A&M has 1 win. As far as I know, Matt, that means we win the season series against an Aggie team that's been mostly ranked inside the top 15 in the national rankings throughout the duration of the season. And that feels really good to say out loud. So, banner day for us.
I mean, it does feel like the Aggies are our little brother. No, they might be having a good year. Not against us. Nope.
Yeah, that was. I try to stay away from too much trash talk in general, but like that was very much a big brother move to do that, and what has been probably the worst Texas basketball team I've seen since the Shaka era, obviously. But I mean, so here's the thing, man. Like for all the crap Rodney Terry gets, like he has been much better than Shaka was. Like you can't even argue it. Like so much more success in fewer years. And, for whatever happens at the end of the season, people talk about coaching changes and all that. Rodney Terry had some good moments. He really did, whether this is his last year or not. He didn't go 8 years and not win a tournament game. So there's that.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, he's had some impressive wins. We've been really frustrated at times with the play on the court. But, I mean, the resume does start to speak for itself. You continue to rack up some pretty strong wins here, beating A&M twice, coming into the tournament. You thought Texas for sure had to win 2 games, and you have to give them credit just for putting them in the position to go. And I personally don't think Texas is a lock at the moment because we've seen how the committee can be at times. A&M a couple of years ago got really hot in the conference tournament, probably had a slightly better resume than what Texas has now and still got left out. But I will say that the bubble line, you don't have a lot of teams that are really going out and taking that spot in the tournament. They're leaving a lot of room for doubt and discussion. And that's kind of my stance on where Texas is. But you have to give Rodney credit. I mean, a ton of credit. Whether a lot of us were frustrated or not at the end of regulation there and who took the shot and, that offensive possession, I mean, give him credit. He went in there and battled against an A&M team that was really, really good. He got his guys, and I know there's varying opinions on A&M being really good, I guess, but he got his team. And my big thing was he got them to battle inside the paint and on the glass, and that was huge because if you don't go toe-to-toe with A&M on the glass, and you can't really go toe-to-toe with them, but if you don't get in there and at least fight, because they're going to win most rebound battles overall, you're going to get cooked, man, because eventually they'll make some shots. They take some questionable shots. They love to pull 3-pointers, even though none of them really have high percentages. The one kid, I guess, Wagner, or he had a big one today.
Their best 3-point shooter is Obaseki, probably.
Is Obaseki their best? Okay.
He's one of them.
Wilcher. Wilcher's their best one.
Wilcher.
They kept saying it on the broadcast.
That's right. Yeah.
Out of Nebraska.
Obaseki had a good game. He's not typically a good 3-point shooter. I think that's what I was thinking about.
Well,
that's what they were saying. They were saying that A&M, all their usual suspects for hitting the threes, they weren't the guys that were draining them. It was just
sure.
I mean, you have Anderson Garcia go
4 for 4
and 3. It's like, all right. That's why I thought there wasn't a great chance that they win because like they're getting these performances from these random guys, and like you watch the first half of that game, and it's like, what did Texas do to get that lead? They didn't turn the ball over, which they didn't do much of all game, which I think is a big credit to how good, oh my God, Tremont Mark is as a point guard, which we hadn't seen much of at all this year, but they played him as a lead initiator, and this offense just looked a lot more fluid. It looked a lot more coherent with him. I mean, to turn the ball over, I think they turned it over 6 times in the entire game. So to do that against a team whose bread and butter is turning you over, scoring in transition, that is how they win games. They beat you on the offensive glass, and they turn you over, and they get into transition, and they score that way. Like they don't dominate in the half court with like amazing 3-point shooting off of great sets or whatever, right? They get into transition a lot, and that's kind of how they try to beat people. And Texas just credit them, man. They did not turn the ball over much in this game, especially considering how good A&M is at getting into passing lanes and doing things like that. So I think that was the most impressive thing to me was the lack of turnovers, man. I just really was impressed that they took care of the ball and they got a lot of good opportunities. And like Trey was up and down throughout this game, but he has that real hot streak to start the second half that, I mean, he's just really special, man. And I've talked about him a lot this year. I write about the NBA draft for Sports Illustrated, so I cover a lot of these prospects. And the thing that's really turning its head with Trey is his ability to play make, right? Like you've sort of seen it this year. He was really good against Mississippi State at doing that. Throwing skip passes out of a double team in the lane, for example, that he had a great pass to Tremont Mark that he set up out of the lane against Mississippi State. But I mean, today, he found a lot of guys when he was getting double teamed, like dudes were pressuring the ball, and that's kind of how A&M defends, and he was making the right reads. And I think that really speaks to his ability at the next level to be a secondary creator.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see for Trey as far as being a fan of his draft stock and him playing at the next level. He's going to have to do a lot more than just score the basketball, even though he does that pretty well. I thought overall one of the best games decision-making for Trey Johnson when you talk about shot selection, his ability to pass. Chris is mentioning a really good pass down there that Trey made. I don't know if you're referencing the one that was it him that made the pass inside to Caden Shedrick after the little switch and they left him wide open?
Yeah. No, that was Tremont Mark. Tremont Mark made
that was Tremont? Okay. I mean, I think Trey also could have made that pass in that juncture because Caden was wide open down there, and that was really cool. And once again, give Rodney Terry credit right there because whatever set they were running through, whatever motion, it worked out a lot. Real quick, these gentlemen at Nash Talks Texas, at Keenan Womack, you guys on YouTube. That again, if you don't have Twitter, pop on. You got a lot of Texas Twitter media represented on X. A lot of different content from football, baseball, softball, basketball, football. You can see it all on there. So if you do get on there, follow these gentlemen immediately. And as our good friend Mr. Joshy Manning says right here, hit like and subscribe. Let's run that subscriber count up. And just most importantly, thank y'all for being here. I've seen Clint, Chris, Josh, Travis, my man. Boomer, I'll give you a boomer. I'm not going to finish it, but there you go. Appreciate you being in there and throw a like on this video. Yeah, Travis is awesome, man. Top notch.
Yeah, Travis is a great guy.
Yeah, as good as it gets up there north of the Red River. But yeah, I mean, everybody kind of had their moments in this game. We had a lot of contributors there in that first half. We had 9 different Longhorns score buckets. Everybody seemed to be passing. I was a little irritated. Jordan Pope was kind of having a rough few minutes there in the second half, and then bang, he hits a huge 3, I believe, in the first overtime, or was it the second overtime? Everybody contributed. Tremont Mark was massive in this game. Like Keenan just said, you're talking about 6 turnovers against a very, very aggressive defense where they try to kind of speed you up mentally and make you, make a quicker decision than you'd probably prefer to. They've got big, long guards, arms everywhere, as Keenan mentioned, in the passing lanes. And so 6 turnovers, man. Deshaun says, Travis stinks. I love it, man. That's what the rivalry is all about. Wow, yeah. Travis, if Travis wanted to, he could absolutely expose me. Expose me there regarding hoops. He knows what I'm referencing there, but yeah, everybody. Shed too, man. Everybody made plays in this game. Shed had some, a couple blocks, I believe, rebounds in tough spots. I mean, there's a lot of Texas fans that are really, really hard on Caden Shedrick, and he is not the best big guy in the SEC. I think he would even tell you that. But man, you can't question the guy's effort or the guy's heart. He's a battler, dude. He goes through war every single game in there because his only chance to really get in and have an effect and a cause for this team is produce for this team is that's how he has to be. And so Texas fans, man, we're tough on Caden. I get it, man. There's a lot of times. I still swear he got shoved in the bucket or in the back right there before regulation ended, probably like a minute and a half left, and he kind of looked like he gave up an easy bucket. defender in the back. He did. I mean, A&M's smart about how they play defense. Like your goal is to in defense is to play. In my opinion, the best defense out there is really good man defense, and you do that without fouling. Play aggressive, close out on shooters well, without the ability to just blow by them. Like break down, and if they're shot faking you, I mean. I love the aggressive defense. A&M plays such aggressive defense that it's almost impossible to officiate their games. Yeah. They are going to dare you to call a foul on almost every single possession. And no basketball official is going to do that. There are some officials that are going to really let them play. And that's why you saw officiating like today that absolutely sucked and was terrible on both ends of the court. There were a lot of foul calls that were probably not fouls and a lot of foul calls that went uncalled. And so SEC Twitter told me that SEC officiating was going to be worse than Big 12 officiating. And hoops, they might be right because it's been a pretty rough stretch, and they never had a really good handle on that game or grasp. But I mean, I don't really give a shit because we won. So there it is.
Yeah, I'll say this for Shedrick. What Clint said, 10 for 10 at the free throw line. That's going to play, to use a baseball term.
All right, we talked about this, Nash. Well, we can rant about. I love Kendall Weaver and what he's done. He's busted his butt in the last, 2 games, the last 2 days for Texas. But we cannot foul out when we need you. When you've got when you're giving up, 5.5 inches to this guy, and he's got the ball, 2 feet from the bucket right there. I thought Henry Coleman had an easy bucket for A&M.
It's over. It's over. Just give it up.
And Nash and I both. That's when I thought it was over. I thought we were cooked. I didn't think we could go through a 5-minute overtime period without Kendall Weaver because he had been so good about not just really being effective on offense and kind of getting inside for Texas and then distributing the basketball, but he was getting deflections on the defensive end. Rebounds, he was tapping the ball, tipping it around, just doing anything he could. He was a fighter, and so anything that we could or that Kendall could do, I felt he had maximum input on this game. And so, what about you, Kenan? When Kendall picked up the fifth, what were you thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't made as much of an emphasis as I probably should have this season on how important he is because he's the best athlete on the team by far. Like he just is. I mean, he's a guy that crashes the glass as a guard, which you need on this team. You especially need against a team like A&M, right, where their whole bread and butter is getting on the offensive glass, getting extra opportunities. A&M's not a team that has shot well at any point this year. They're not a good I think they're the last place team in 3-point shooting in the SEC, or bottom, very bottom. And the fact that, you get Weaver back and, for all the points Wade Taylor scored today at 29, he hit 5 shots. So it's like they're doing something right on defense. Yeah, he got a lot of foul calls, and I'm not here to complain about his foul call situation or whatever, but I didn't think they were cooked for sure, but I did think, it's going to be a lot harder to guard the perimeter without a guy that, and Kendall Weaver is so laterally quick, right? He can come out, when Texas switches on defense, he can make those switches quickly because he's a very good athlete. Problem is you end up with a situation where Henry Coleman is going to score against you because you're 6'3". But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great foul to take at that point, but I think the adrenaline is so high. You're like, I can't just give up an easy bucket. You know what I mean? I understood why he drew the foul, or fouled out. But you have to be more aware of, oh shoot, I'm on my 4th foul right now. And also we need to bump it to 6 fouls in college. I think it's insane.
So when Tremont Mark fouled out and I saw Kendall Weaver looking like that, I was like, oh shit, this game's over. that's Kendall saying, I played my last basketball game. It's done. Shit. Career's this. College is done. College is done. That's not the look of a dude that feels confident. And I'm not trying to talk bad about his confidence in the team, but I'm just saying I don't know. When I saw that, I was like, it's over.
That's a dude
that was directly after Tremont Mark fouling out. Yeah,
he's hurting because he needs to be helping the team right there, and he wants to.
He wants to be out there. That's probably the biggest reason. Like what you just said right there, and it's just he's also probably thinking about what you were just thinking. He's probably going, he was making that bucket no matter what, dude. Right? That bucket was happening. Why did I foul? Right? Yep. He's probably sitting there thinking about that too. But I mean, hey. Team came out and clutched it up. Shedrick at the line when we needed him. He hit those were some big pressure free throws when he hit those at the end. Like, I mean, because you've already hit all yours for the day. If you go 7 for 10, you've already finished above what you're supposed to be doing. He's like a 60% free throw shooter, and I don't know. He does a clutch.
I think the other thing to note too is like he was a big reason that A&M didn't dominate the glass in the first half. Like I thought Shedrick, for all of his flaws on the offensive end, because he was not good on offense for that first half. I think he had 2 points, but he was putting bodies on people, and it wasn't counting towards rebounds. Like he wasn't snagging a bunch of boards, but what he was doing was putting bodies on people and boxing out, doing like basic stuff. And when you're a team like Texas that isn't extremely talented in the front court, you really have one guy who is probably not even a power force starter on a lot of teams in Shedrick. And then you have kind of unplayable bigs behind him. Like Arthur Kaluma is playing power forward for this team, and he's like he's 6'6". I guess you can make that happen as a power forward, but he's not 6'9". He's not like JT Toppin sized. And just like the effort from this team all around was what impressed me today. I mean, A&M's so physical, man. It's like they play like a football team. They're just roughing you up. I mean, these dudes are probably going to be in the ice bath all night, both teams, because they're just super physical. And like, I was really impressed with Texas' ability to match that physicality and not get bullied out of the paint, not just get dominated, because like that was in the cards for today. As they come out flat, they're down 15 in the first 10 minutes, and then it's over and your season's done. And there were plenty of opportunities for them to roll over in that. Even in the overtime, they scored 12 total points in the first overtime, right? So I'm just really impressed. The one thing you can say about this team is that they do fight very hard. They play hard, and I think you have to give them credit for that. And it's won them games this year, just playing hard and not giving up. And I know that's cliche and trite, but truly, like, that is part of the reason this team has won the games it's won this year, is because they don't roll over and they're very physical. They play with some pride, which you didn't see in the Georgia game. I know that was a problem, but like it's your finals due in an hour and you're cramming and you're like trying to write the last few paragraphs. That's what they're doing right now. But hey, it looks like they got the essay on time today.
I love that one right there. That's a great analogy. Longhorn Football Edits, once again, that's an elite account checking in right there. Appreciate all the work you do, man. Yeah, that's a good one checking in right there. Appreciate the work you do for just all the social media and Longhorn athletic fans out there. Sorry, I butchered that kind of. Did Rodney Terry save his job today? I mean, I think time tells on that one. One thing I do know is there's questions asked up here about Tennessee. Yeah, if Texas were to beat Tennessee, I think they go to a stone cold lock in that point, potentially even moving out of the play-in situation. I don't know. I would think that has to carry a pretty good bit of weight. I don't know if the committee's thinking like I am, thinking like that would be Texas's third game in 3 days. You just beat 2 top 13 opponents in back-to-back days. I don't know how much weight they really give that, but beating Tennessee, it feels like a lot. Keenan, I'm curious, with the win today, are you feeling pretty confident that Texas gets in if they were to lose to Tennessee? And then how are you feeling if they beat Tennessee, obviously?
I don't know if I feel great about them getting in if they happen to. Yeah, here's the thing, too, man. Tennessee, like, for as well as Texas played them the first time they played this year, Tennessee's a bad matchup for Texas. Just the way that they pressure the ball on defense, the way that they attack the ball handler and send multiple guys at that ball handler. And they have elite perimeter defenders. Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Meshack are both guys that are, I don't know. I didn't look at the All-SEC defense list. I can't remember who's on it. But those are 2 guys that probably should be on there if they're not. They're both super, super good perimeter defenders. And then you have in the paint, you have a guy like Akpera who can rebound, can block shots, kind of be your deterrent and the paint, and they just do a lot of things defensively that I think could pose problems for Texas. But they also haven't seen Tremont Mark as a point guard. So, like, maybe that's your, what do you call it, like your X factor, like the ace in your sleeve could be Tremont Mark, because they're not used to him being the primary initiator on this team, right? They're used to Nobody really doing it, but a couple guys trying to. I mean, Pope's a scoring guard, and the thing I've said about Julian Larry too is Julian Larry had great numbers, and so did Jason Kidd at Indiana State. But I watched a lot of Indiana State last year and rewatched them a few times this summer because Josh Schertz left Indiana State and went to St. Louis. But the offense that Schertz runs is not a lot of dribbling and not a lot of creation off the dribble. It's a lot of off-ball screens, ball reversals, and you try to limit the amount of dribbling you do. So that's not what RT's offense looks like. So Julian Larry is not typically playing in an offense where he's asked to contribute a lot off the dribble. And he's had to do that this year. And I think that's one of the reasons why he hasn't translated quite as well as everybody thought he might. But yeah, I mean, overall, Tennessee is a bad matchup, but you never know, man. I mean, that's another thing about this team is they're going to be freaking tired tomorrow. I don't know what time the game is on. I don't know if it's a afternoon game or night game, but either way, they're going to be exhausted. And Tennessee's a team that plays hard for 40 minutes. You remember those Barnes teams at Texas. Those are teams that defend really hard and they're very physical. So it might be another situation where you're dealing with a very physical team and you're just getting beat up. But okay, it's a 2:30 game. Thank you. Yeah, that's tough, man. You got to turn around and play, 24 hours later, 22 hours later. So if they win, they're certainly in, I think. I think a win against Tennessee gets you in for sure. They don't win, I don't see them getting in just because of some of those late season performances that were really, really bad, like South Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah, and that they seem past that, and that's where again you got to give Rodney and the guys a lot of credit because you could have easily just come into this tournament and fold. Give the players credit for staying with it, and like Chris just said, there's a lot of negativity out there about the program. A lot of people saying Rodney shouldn't have the job. I've discussed Rodney, potentially not having this job, and that's putting it nicely. There's been a lot of talk about that. These guys don't give a damn, and credit them for that. They're locked in and doing what they got to do. And so, and yeah, it's always great to see Keenan's face on YouTube. You bet your ass. And so, yeah, Keenan Nash, of course, will continue hopefully to frequent this channel. And Texas, if anytime we're up against a really capable big on the other side, Keenan, that's when I get kind of a little bit negative in my mind about our chances.
Sure.
Because again, we don't really have that ability to throw the ball inside with your back to the bucket and just rely on that. And Shed's going to give it his all, man, but he just went through an absolute grind fest with Texas A&M today. He put a lot of menace out there, gave maximum effort. Would I like to see Texas, beat Rick Barnes in Tennessee? Absolutely. Would I rather it happen like in, the Elite Eight or something? That would be a little bit cooler. So, I'm going to be honest, going in with pretty low expectations simply for the matter of it's going to be our third game in 3 days. You had a double overtime thriller with A&M, a lot of emotion and energy poured into it. But yeah, I mean, it's college basketball. Anything can happen. And if we can get them in a low scoring kind of a rock fight, I think we can hang with them and we're not letting them run up and down the floor off turnovers. And, if we have 6 turnovers again, you got to think, we can hang in there a little bit. We got to be able.
And I know we're going to do y'all are going to do baseball in a second, but before I hop off, I have a few thoughts on Tennessee just overall.
Sure.
And how Texas matches up with them and things like that. So Tennessee's best player, well, it might be Ziegler. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. But Chaz Lanier is a guy that was at North Florida last year and he transferred to Tennessee, kind of like a Dalton Connect thing, right? You hop in and you're averaging 18 points a game. Right. He's been fantastic this year, 40% from 3. He's been really, really good. And then Ziegler is 13 points, but he's averaging almost 8 assists a game. Right. So this team, you have your flamethrower scoring guard in Lanier, and then you have a guy that can also score really well. He's 5'9". He's still doing this stuff. He's still an elite defender, 2 steals a game, 7.5 dimes, 13 points. And he gets to the rim. And that's kind of what he does. And that's why he's so good. He can collapse that defense and kick out to shooters. And that's how he gets a lot of his assists are, they'll run a set where he just drives to the basket, defense collapses, he kicks to the corner, somebody can shoot the open 3. or they'll run a pick and roll and he can throw it to one of their bigs, like Akpara, I forget how you pronounce it. He's kind of their like paint guy. Like he's their big deterrent in the paint, kind of their interior scorer. But Igor Milicic is another guy for Tennessee who's really talented big. He's not as much of a physical force kind of as Akpara is. He's more of a finesse type of big. I think he's from Charleston. He's a transfer as well. But then you have a guy like Meshack who plays a lot of minutes, right? 28 minutes per game. He's only averaging 6 points, but he's that physical and that good on the perimeter. He's kind of like a Lou Dort type, if you think about it like that.
Right.
He'll occasionally shoot the open spot up threes, like 38%. Just big physical wing who can defend and put pressure on your ball handlers. This Tennessee team is really fun, man. I know we want the Longhorns to beat them tomorrow, obviously, but Tennessee is a well-built team, man. Now, I don't know how far the Rick Barnes jinx will go as far as, will it strike this early and maybe Texas gets a win? I don't know. But, the top of this SEC is historically good, man. I mean, Tennessee is probably the fourth best team in the SEC, and they're a team with an outside shot to make the Final Four. So that's kind of an indication of what you've been dealing with all year in the SEC. And, do I think Rodney Terry's back next year? I don't. But, I don't think the players care, like you said. I think they're in this thing to win this thing. They don't care about the outside noise. They're blocking it all out. They're ready to just get in there and play. And you know what? If there's a team that is going to give it their all, it's this team. And they might be exhausted, but hopefully they get a good night's sleep. Nobody pulls the smoke alarm at their hotel, as I've heard has happened before. I think the key to winning that game is going to be limiting Ziegler's, not just his scoring, but, not making it easy, not letting it be easy for him to find these open shooters and not letting it be easy for him to get to the rim. Because if he's dicing up your defense and getting to the rim, they're going to win the game.
You're cooked in that point. And it's a great scouting report there on the Vols, man. 10 out of 10. It's always fun to root for Rick Barnes, and you want to see him get over that hump eventually in his career. And so I would love to see him do that with the Vols. And Zakai Ziegler, I think he was playing point guard for Tennessee when Rick Barnes was at Texas. He's been around Tennessee and been around Knoxville for so dang long up there. And, nothing but respect for the guy. He's fully bought in and is absolutely committed to doing whatever he has to do to improve Tennessee's chances. Like you just talked about, Keenan, whether it be steals, distributing, scoring, defending, he does everything that you could want in a point guard. He's undersized. That's the only knock on Zakai Ziegler. If he's 6'2", you're talking about a top 5 draft pick because the size of his heart is kind of unmatched. And so, you talk about Akpara, Meshack, or was it Meshack, right? Meshack, okay. And then Meshack. And so, a lot
Jordan
of buy-in.
He's another guy too who's a really good scorer that they have. That's their third scorer,
Yeah, as linear, he's that dude. You know what I mean? And that's where a guy like Zakai is even cooler to see him. No pride there. He's going to feed the beast, and whoever's that hot hand, he's going to whatever option he has it's open, he'll take it. And that's a good point. I think of him a little like I used to see like a Steve Nash. Where if you pull off a guys to help Nash once he gets into the paint, you're so cooked, man. That's what he's wanting you to do. He wants you to help off of Amari from 15 feet or, a linear. Same, Bubba. That's what I wrote off the Mavericks for good the moment he walked away. I was so mad. I knew they shouldn't have let that guy go. But anyway.
I walked off the Mavericks recently too, so.
For obvious reasons.
The biggest of hugs.
I cover them for Sports Illustrated, so I can't really walk off them even if I want to.
That's even cooler though, because you get to express frustration and have everybody read it. So
I have done that, plenty of that. But yeah. Anyway, fellas, I'll let you get to baseball. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate you, Ghost, as always, my dude. Keenan Womack on Twitter. I do work for Sports Illustrated. I do work for Inside Texas. Got something else coming up that I'm about to start doing work for as well. That'll be announced in the next couple of weeks.
Let's go, buddy.
Appreciate you. Always a fan of you guys. And thanks for having me on again. And I'll talk to you soon, guys. Let me know whenever you want to talk hoops. Just hit me up.
Yes, sir. Have a great night.
I'm a fan of you, Keenan.
I'm a fan of you too, Nash. You have a good night, brother.
Hey, you too, brother.
Thank you, Keenan. All right, guys. Y'all heard it. Texas Tennessee 2:30 tomorrow. I think it's a must win for Texas. I do not think they're in. Not a lock, not yet. A win over Tennessee goes a long dang ways, but committee can be weird at times, and there's a lot going on. We'll see. But again, the bubble. It's a weak bubble.
It's one of those games where, he's looking at the weather forecast saying, is there a leak in the stadium?
Yeah.
Maybe we delay it for lightning. I don't know. Indoor game, whatever.
Well,
find any way you can get a delay.
And speaking of delays, Texas is traveling to Starkville, Mississippi. With that being said, we're going to bring on another gentleman here, Mr. Gage Sheets. Welcome back to the channel.
What's up?
Here to talk a little hardball. Nash, your connection's weird. I'm going to pop you out for a second, pop you right back in. How we doing, Gage? How are you, brother?
Pretty good. It's always a good day when Texas beats A&M in any sport. So I've been, talking crap to all my friends around here and making sure that they know I watched the game and making sure I knew that they watched the game. And if they didn't, they found out the result.
My thing is that, and I agree wholeheartedly, obviously a great day when you beat A&M in anything. I don't care if we were to miss a tournament and A&M goes to the Final Four, we won the season series. So unless they won the national championship, I'm not hearing any type of trash talk, any type of anything. I'm not going to listen to it. And I don't know if you're similar to me, but the law of averages, are you a believer in that? Where, I had a great day. Yeah. My favorite golfer on the planet, he goes and throws up a 5-under at TPC Sawgrass.
That was such a great grouping. I have enjoyed that thoroughly, watching that grouping.
And we'll bring Nash back. Nash is a wardrobe change, and he this is a man ready for conference play right here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Gotta whip out the mask, man. See, here's the thing. I just want to do this as like kind of a joke, but
I love it. First time on the channel.
This is the debut of the 2025 mask. Retire the 2024 mask.
Oh, brand new mask, brand new conference.
I did have to wear this one time earlier in the season because it was cold as hell and windy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great purchase.
Oh, it actually wound up being a fantastic purchase.
Nash, update Chris on the weather. I know it's kind of dicey, but I haven't gone and looked in all the way.
Bad.
Yeah,
not good.
Historically,
not
bad.
Good. So Saturday is potentially no game, looking like it. Honestly, it's probably going to be we're going to play a game on Friday. They've already come out and said, hey, we're not doing a doubleheader tomorrow. So tomorrow game, and then if the weather just says, you know what, screw it, we'll let y'all play some baseball. We get a game on Saturday. If not, doubleheader on Sunday.
I'm a big fan of the old baseball doubleheader. I know Sunday is kind of tough because you're talking about your travel day. I don't really like a Friday doubleheader, but hey, we got to get 3 games in. Hopefully, everybody in Mississippi stays safe. If you're talking about historically bad weather, I know that place
to be a bad outbreak of tornadoes.
Yeah.
Young boy checking in here. What about you, Nash? I was telling Gage, and you might could have heard us while you were masking up there, but this is like a top-notch day for me. Like golf, sports-wise, golf, Texas wins. I almost am scared to go outside. I feel like I'm gonna get like shit on by a bird or something. The moment I just like law of averages, like or hit by a car, maybe even. I don't know. It's just like that's how good of a day. Texas knocks A&M out of the SEC tournament. Texas is still. Well, I guess we're the only team with two games minimum appearances in the SEC tournament that's undefeated in the conference. We need Oklahoma to lose tonight, so I can fire a tweet out about that. And then
you're telling me we just lost versus Mississippi State tomorrow. Is what you just told me.
No, you can't. No,
you just said I had all these good things happening, and there's no more good law of averages.
It's just a daily thing. Once midnight hits, the clock refreshes.
It's found money. Once midnight hits, it's found money.
That's what I'm saying, brother. That's where we're at. I love
rollover minutes, AT&T.
But Gage, real quick before we move on to baseball, what was your take on the basketball game? I know you were texting a little bit. I was watching some of it on my phone, so I felt bad every time I looked. It would be a couple messages behind. But yeah, you seem to have some emotions going through your through the body there in that moment. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, obviously, we've kind of discussed my thoughts on the future of the basketball team and where the direction it needs to head. So it's kind of a weird situation being in, but I'm never gonna, in this sort of situation, at first I was like, oh, am I gonna get into this? And then quickly I realized how much I dislike Texas A&M again, and it was a fun game. I'm glad they won. This team plays really hard. Like I don't think that that's ever been a doubt that the team on the court plays really hard and they play to win. There's been very few times this season where I've doubted that, and they played really hard today. Like they played like their season was on the line, and it worked out for them. So I'm excited for them. I'm excited that they get to keep playing tomorrow and that they increase their chances to play in the tournament. Obviously, Trey Johnson being in the tournament is good for college basketball and good for Texas's brand. So that's best case scenario, I think, at this point right now is that we sneak in and we get to see some more Trey Johnson.
The country needs to see Trey Johnson, and the way that his teammates are playing right now, they all deserve to be seen, but body of work, man. We'll see if it's enough for the committee. And I feel like we have to get off basketball with Lounge Dog in here because I know he doesn't want to talk basketball. He doesn't want to talk basketballs. I wouldn't have let him talk men's. We'd have to talk women's, and we have his coach. And so there you go, Lounge. No matter what happens on the diamond, we have Vic Schaefer. So I can't. No, I want to beat Mississippi State more than anything on the baseball field. I feel, Texas baseball, if anything, has been our biggest and best sport for the longest. And Texas baseball goes and makes a very big hire last June, and they're not hated by all of the SEC, I'm sure, but there's a lot of Aggies rallying some troops there from other fan bases. But me personally, I think Mississippi State, I think the Duty Noble, is one of the coolest venues in all of college sports, not just baseball alone. So really, really cool that Texas gets to open up with Mississippi State. But let me tell you this, Lounge Dog, and any other Mississippi State Bulldogs out there, we have not forgotten. All right, we have not forgotten about the College World Series, about being eliminated by the hands of the national champion Mississippi State Bulldogs just a few seasons ago. That was real pain. That's probably the last time I've cried over Texas sports. I'm going to be honest. And it was
no, bro.
It's not even like being a baby. It was like I am so damn proud of the fight these guys put after Will Bednar strikes out 18 Longhorns in Game 1 of the College World Series, and then we're back there, and we had a chance, and we got. I mean, we finally got him out of the game in that elimination game, and I'm just thinking like, this is ours. Like Texas
and then here's
is
the thing,
find a way.
We get him out of the game, and we're going to a really good closer. Like, this dude's not a scrub, right? The guy that we're facing, not a scrub. And, bro, it's just, Jesus. I mean, that game will live in my head forever and haunt me. Like, I mean, I actually get dreams of it.
That's why it sucks so much, because whoever won that game was winning the title.
Well, and then here's the thing that sucks even more, is because if we had won that game, let's just think everything happens as is, we don't go to a Game 2 versus Mississippi State. We had to force a Game 2 versus Mississippi State. A winner goes all into the national championship, and they hit I can still, the line drive is in my head. I can see it it's just 5 feet over Trey Faltine's head, and he's just sitting there like, it's just, I'm pulling up a good meme for this, but
that was a tough Omaha year. I think there's been some tough Omaha years, CB. That was a tough Omaha year. That was rough, man.
Okay, well let me ask you this, Gage. What was tougher, going in there, losing in the opener to Mississippi State, battling all the way back to a winner advances to the championship series, or going 0-2 versus Notre Dame and Texas A&M? Pop that back up, Nash, and I'll put it on the screen.
Who was alive?
You know what
Who was alive?
I think the toughest one that I've had personally was actually in 2014, because we beat Vanderbilt that Game 1, and we forced a Game 2, and I was feeling pretty confident that we were going to make it. And I actually, Brianna and I, my wife, if anybody knows, we got into the car, drove to Omaha, and as we're driving to Omaha, we are in a hotel and watch Texas lose. So I kind of jinxed us on a ground ball walk off, and same sort of situation. We lost to Mississippi State, but yeah, get the sweeps are tough, but not as tough as being that close to a potential national championship.
With all love and respect, Gage, after January 15th, or sorry, January 10th or January 11th, 2025, the word sweep is outlawed and banned from this channel. That we can't, no sweep, no out. We're gonna have to find another term for baseball. PTSD is real. Y'all have already forgotten Sark in the sweep. I haven't. Y'all are giving me some weird looks right here. I still get DMs. Aggie's jacking with me about a sweep.
I'm going to be very honest with you. You might as well just avoid inviting me on after we broom some opponents to the side, because I'm gonna say sweep all damn day. I'm sorry, it's a baseball term. You strike me as a big pitching clock guy.
And me?
Yeah, big. I want a second base on the side guy. Just trying to change baseball from what it was.
No, I'm just messing around because everybody keeps the sweep still lives, man.
Yeah, that was rough, no doubt, but yeah, that losing
it's over.
There was tough. Yeah,
I'll say the Mississippi State loss, and that was far more difficult than getting swept by Notre Dame and A&M. Even with all the trolling. Clint, we're talking about the word sweep because Texas ran a sweep against Ohio State and got blistered by Caleb Downs and Latham Ransom. And so, yeah, we're not talking about it anymore. We're moving on. It's over. But anyways, so I'm going Mississippi State definitely hurt.
He didn't get blistered by Caleb Downs. I'll say that.
They blew the play up, though, is my point.
No, they did. But I'm trying to give Trey Wisner his due.
Oh, he gets his due.
He broke both tape. If you watch the play, he breaks both of those safeties. The best safeties in football for run defense. He breaks both of their tackles. Now, were there 3 to 11 other defenders running at him? Possibly, but I mean, as far as Caleb Downs and blanking on the other dude's name, no disrespect to him, he's one hell of a safety.
Ransom. Anyways, so moving on, Texas at Mississippi State. A 2-1 weekend would be a great start, in my opinion. What are you, gentlemen? We'll start with you, Gage. What are you thinking here? You're talking about Jared Spencer, Luke Harrison have been pretty dang good here on Friday and Saturday nights for the Horns. Sounds like they might have to be good on Friday and maybe Sunday early morning for the Horns. But what are you expecting? How big of a deal is it to you for Texas to get off to a good start here and what is going to be an absolutely wild SEC season?
I think that it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for these guys to go in there. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be a tough environment. I really like what the team has done so far. I think this is by far exponentially a lot faster of a pace than anybody expected. This team to start gelling and start going to what the coaching staff is teaching, and I think it's expedited. But I'm still going to pump the brakes a little bit. There's going to be bumps in the road going into SEC play, and I could see this weekend being a bump in the road. You need to get at least one win, no matter what. But 2 wins. I mean, you win 2 wins. You win both 2 games, especially if you have to deal with weather and have a doubleheader on Sunday. Like, you win 2 games. We leave this weekend. I'm starting to feel really good about this baseball team. But Mississippi State's offense is top in the SEC, right? They hit a lot of home runs. They hit for average. They've also got good pitching. I think their ERA is top 5 in the SEC as well. So this is probably the best team that we faced all year. I guess unless you look at Ole Miss, who we kind of run-rolled, but they've had a pretty good rebound since then too. But it's going to be interesting to see Jared on the mound tomorrow and how he handles that offense and navigates that offense. I think tomorrow's an important game. I think you really need to push tomorrow and try to go get that win. It's going to be by far the best offense this pitching staff has faced, in my opinion. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be really hard, man. These guys, it's no joke going into this stadium. These people are pretty ruthless, so it's going to be tough. But I think this is really going to give us the measuring stick of where this team is actually at, and moving forward, kind of what our expectations are.
No, I think that's well said. Of course, you really do want to push for this Friday night win. You're going to do that in almost all series here, and if Jared goes in there and shoves and does his thing, it'll be a great start to this conference season. Nash, what about you, brother man? I guess I'll allow the word sweep back on the channel.
No, I mean, look, they are a really good offense. I think their home run numbers, similar to Tennessee, are going to be inflated because they're in a smaller ballpark, and that's something that you can expect a lot of Longhorns to. I mean, there's probably, off the top of my head, 5 or 10 home runs between 5 10 home runs that would have been a home run if we were playing in Duty Noble Field. Now that being said, I mean, you still got to hit the ball. They still hit for average very well. I mean, making contact with the ball that consistently. I don't care what opponent you're playing, because some people could say, well, Missouri State and all that stuff. Who cares? It's impressive. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. There's a Ace Reese. Let me just double check this.
It's Ace Reese,
yeah. He was on a 13-game hit streak that ended this last game. He's been a pretty hot hitter for them as of late. Their pitcher, they have one really for sure set in pitcher. They have already announced a rotation that they're going with. The dude that they got going on Sunday, he's a pretty good dude as well. I think Legnan or something like that. But they're not ranked, but they are a really good team. And like you said, that with the brand new ballpark, I think the ballpark is 16,000 people can go to the game. This is going to be a postseason environment, and I'm really excited to see how this team is going to 12,000 people tomorrow. Yeah, right there. I'm really excited to see how this team handles it, because this is going to let us know a lot of information about how this team could do in the postseason, especially if we have to travel to, say we get paired up in an LSU regional for whatever reason or something like that. It's not going to happen, but or LSU super regional. We're gonna have a pretty good. We're gonna look back on this game and gauge how our players reacted to this and how they handled pressure, and we're gonna be able to get a good idea moving forward. But I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, I mean, and Clint asked this question here. Where we could go if there was one ballpark in the SEC we were going to visit. This is at the very top of the list for me. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 16K capacity crowd at times, and there's times where they're going to fill that up and have that many in there. They have the full outfield seating, and it's pretty wild scene. It's like Nash just said, one of the more beautiful parks in the country. That up there would be one of the first ones for me. I need to think about that a little bit longer.
Yeah, look at this.
I would say going to Baton Rouge or Knoxville as well would probably be
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It literally just keeps on. You go up until 19. They have the top 18 on-campus records for just because they can simply hold that many people. I mean, this ballpark, let me see if I can pull up a picture. This thing is, after the renovations, I mean, this is a beautiful ballpark.
Yeah.
This should be a bucket list item for people to go see. It kind of froze up, but I mean, yeah, it's just,
whoa.
I would strongly recommend looking up the design of it, because if you're a baseball fan, it's just beautiful.
I do have to pause real quick. Ingrid, I will say this. My mom always said, if I can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And maybe that's why I wasn't talking about Texas basketball for the last couple of weeks. No, I'm kidding. I did do a show talking about Texas basketball. But, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of Texas fans who came back around today. And I'm not going to say it's frustrating. A lot of people complaining. But I think that a lot of the complaints have been valid. There's a lot of rough patches there along that conference finish. And so Why doesn't Texas play in college?
Third basketball game I've watched all year.
See, that,
two of them being against A&M. So
that's funny. I like that. I think, Chris, that we got the baseball series because they got the football game. I don't think they were going to go give A&M and our first year back as rivals, and we've always been rivals, but our first year back as competing rivals, that they were going to give them the football game and then also the baseball series. I think that would have been a little much, and we would have had a legit, gripe and complaint if they would have gone ahead and given them both of those. So I think that's why they have to come here. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely nuts. I can't imagine the hatred that's going to be in the air because there's going to be a lot of Aggies that make that trip over, regardless of how Texas may try and keep them out. And so
I can personally tell you that the front row next to the batter's box will not sell out. That will, unless there's a corporate company that has 2 seats right next to me to my left, unless they give it to an Aggie. Hope they don't. Is it my mic?
No, I think everything's good now. We're good.
So basically, there's not going to be a problem when it comes to the front row of the dish.
No, I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah, and that's the thing is, after the losses and now losing the season series in basketball, losing the football game at home in front of 6,000 A&M fans, whatever it was. They're gonna want something, man. They're almost dead to rights in the whole season series that we're doing for whatever the Lone Star Trophy or whatever it is, whatever brand got it. I can imagine. I'll be there. I hope we're all there. It's just going to be a blast. But as far as this series, you got to give credit to Mississippi State. They haven't really gone out and played like the craziest of schedules. They've got Arizona on there, Southern Miss. They lost Arizona, beat Southern Miss, lost to a pretty decent Oklahoma State team. But you can't really contrast and compare opponents this early in the season. Everybody's still figuring out lineups, getting confidence in the rotation. Weather's still warming up. Hitting gets a lot easier once the weather continues to rise. But yeah, so for me personally, I would love a 2-1 week. And just like you said, Gage, I think, the game tomorrow is essential to the start of this conference season. You don't really want to get behind the 8 ball with a 1-2, or definitely pray to God, not an 0-3 start. And so have Jared Spencer shove, hit the baseball, be smart about things. You play good defense and you have command on the pitching, with pitching, and that's going to go a long ways. And so if there is a concern going into the series that you do have, what would the first thing be?
Everybody after our starters. Like I do worry about at times our bullpen has been a little bit shaky with walks, and you can't walk people in these series, especially in tight games late, because they're going to capitalize. Like I said, they're top 5 offense in the SEC. So I would say definitely walks and a little bit of our bullpen spots. I don't think everything's been completely figured out yet, which, like we said, we're 15 games into the season. Like, I think there's been some experimenting going on, and I don't think that there's necessarily nailed in spots yet. And so I think that's going to be pretty interesting. I think there's a couple guys back there I really trust, but especially in a doubleheader, if we get into a doubleheader situation, that would probably be my most nerve-wracking, is seeing some walks and stuff like that from the bullpen.
Nash, unmute yourself. Come back to us, Nash, whenever. But yeah, I mean, you got to have command, man. That's a huge thing, and it's the number one thing. Most of the times that you see when it comes to issues with college bullpens is command. And if you're getting behind in count, these hitters in this conference are way, way too good. They're going to find ways to pound the baseball. They're going to get on base. You have to work ahead, and if you get behind, I mean, it's just an immediate recipe for disaster. And so we've seen it before, man. You can do a lot of really good work, through 6, 7, 8 innings, and then it all fall apart really, really quickly. You look at Texas's only loss on the season. If you were to go back and replay that game, 9 out of 10 times, Texas probably wins that baseball game. But, they give up two ninth inning runs and then one in the 10th, and you find yourself losers for the night. But hey, you've won 14 games since then. Does that winning streak to you, Gage, does it mean anything? It's cool to say, but as far as conference play, do you think it's hey, does it really matter if Texas was 10-4 or 13-1 or 14-1, whatever it be? Does that matter going into this? Because this is where you're going to make your hay right here.
I think it matters confidence-wise for the team, but even when we're talking about like tournament seeding selection later down on the road, the schedule just hasn't been that hard. We've only played, one or two teams that are tournament teams up to this point, so it's not like my kind of example was going back a couple years when we had to play in Houston. We played Tennessee and LSU back-to-back nights. We haven't really had that kind of situation yet, and we're going to get that coming up in SEC play. So yes, it matters. It's awesome. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I think we're on an accelerated path of what we thought we were going to be on, but going into SEC play, this is where the guns are going to have to come out, and we're really going to see what this team's made of.
Well said. I think we're all pretty confident. We feel obviously really good about the win streak, but yeah, we all, not hesitant, but yeah, we got to see. You got to see what this is about in the conference play, man, because there's no weekends off. Everybody, it feels like everybody's freaking ranked. I know Mississippi State, right? They're not ranked, but it feels like everybody should be ranked. Everybody's got strong records so far, beat pretty damn good teams outside of Missouri. Sorry, can't include them in the live, but the other 15 teams.
That's a bad
Nash. Any concerns, Nash?
I'm not really that concerned about much at all. I don't know. I can't really say that I have some of this. I would say if there was a concern that I would have to say, it would probably be the bullpen. But it's not really in the same way that Gage is. I don't really, I think there's already started to see the roles have been kind of defined with the coaching staff. When you look at when the game is kind of going to crunch time and we need something, you've already got a picture of who's there. Like Max Grubbs is going to be the guy that, if we're not even late in the game, he's probably going to show up. But if we need a door close, you're going to have Max Grubbs or it's going to be Ruger Riojas. There's certain situations where a guy, it may look like they're still trying to find a guy like Thomas Burns. It may look like they're still trying to find a role for him. They already know what they want. It's just about ramping him back up and getting him back to 100% health on the arm so that he can actually go and be conditioned to go out there. They've already come out and been clear about how, hey, we want him to try and get to where he can start later on in the year. I'm really excited to see that there's multiple guys that we can go out there and trust as starters. Jason Flores looks like a guy that we can trust. Drew Eric looks like a guy that we can trust. And really in the SEC, I think the main thing about this is more about getting a good start in the game and getting those first few innings and getting those starts, because that's really where the games are won in the SEC. He's talked about this before. You're not they want their starters probably going 4 to 5 innings, right? A 6 inning start from one of our pitchers would be an amazing start in the SEC play. I am the one thing that I'm really kind of worried about on the offensive side is those strikeout percentages. These pitchers, they do have some pitchers like Cone, Ligon, and Davis. These guys can strike some guys out, sitting right there in the 35 to 40% range. So, I want to see our strikeout numbers get cut down and watch it. I would like a lot of walks. This Pico Cone dude, he does not walk a lot of guys. So getting walks on him, that's free money that you can get. And anytime that we can get that, I'd be pleased. But so if I had to find something, it's going to be strikeouts and on the other side. Just kind of if we have to get deep in the weeds in the bullpen, we haven't even really seen ourselves have to get too deep in the weeds. So there'd be some guys that potentially that haven't seen innings yet.
Yeah, I think early in the year, you had a couple, complaints about bad at bats there in the Arlington tournament, whatever it's called nowadays. And, we've seen that early in the year out of Texas teams in the past where we have, a high strikeout percentage and we're having some really untimely strikeouts. And so, don't want to see that now. You can't have it. You want Jared to go shove, and you want to back him up with really quality plate appearances. We've been working a lot better at getting, or we've been a lot better rather at getting deep into counts. You can tell that's part of Schloss's overall strategy at the plate, and obviously Tulo's in that too. We're getting and seeing more pitches, but at the same time, if guys are getting in there, working ahead and staying ahead, you have to adjust to that and be ready to fight, protect the plate, and just go produce. And so quality at bats, it'd be great if Jared got off to a big start Friday night, kind of set the tone for the weekend, about this is what it's going to be. We're going to pump a lot of strikes. We're going to be nasty. We're going to work ahead. I mean, it would be great. You see him get in there and go 6 innings of, 5-hit baseball, maybe give up a run. Texas has a 4-5-1 lead there after 6, but trying to speak that into existence rather. But anything else? Baseball wise, Texas, Mississippi State, before we get out of here, guys?
I'll echo a lot of what Schloss has said about, I think a lot of our fans are going to have an issue with the aggressiveness at the plate. And I think we need to really not confuse aggressiveness with wanting to see a lot of pitches. It is very clear that the coaching staff has said, hey, the statistics don't lie. The more pitches that you see from a pitcher, the better you're going to do later on. And a lot of these games that we seem to have slow starts offensively, we go and we put 5, 6, 7 runs up in the second time around through the order. And really a lot of that is like, I know a great example of this is early on. The first 6 games of the year, Jalen Flores had 4 hits on 20-something at bats. He appeared to not be looking great at the he's having poor bat. If you just look at the stat sheet, bad at bats, right, striking out, all that stuff. A lot of the times that he's striking out, he's sitting there seeing 10 pitches, right? One of the games at the Dish I saw, in one of those games, he had saw between 3 at bats. He had seen 20 to 30 pitches. And that right there is incredibly valuable, not just for the batter at the plate, like a Jalen Flores, but also guys behind him in the order. And the more pitches you can see, the more times that you can make a pitcher go and actually, because a pitcher's goal in the first time through the order is to use as little pitches as possible. If a pitcher could, he'd just sit there and throw fastballs all day long in the first time through the order. Y'all hit ground balls and we're good, right? And then now you're going to start seeing more. You're going to start seeing some of the nasty stuff, and you're going to start to see more, mixing up and more pitches. Pitchers, the more that you can force them to go out there and reveal their pitches, the better.
Yeah, really well said. I mean, there's multiple benefits to that. Nash, you just nailed on one. If you can get a guy to go throw his entire arsenal at you just to get you out that first time through the lineup, you've seen what everything looks like. You're able to find a timing and get comfortable with everything that he's going to be able to throw at you that night. And then you're able to go relay some of that information to teammates. That's big if you can pick up on one little thing. And so, I personally, I'm a huge fan of the approach for Texas. And I think throughout the year that individual players will get only more and more comfortable with it. And maybe that's part of why you see some of, early season struggles by certain guys. But also don't forget, Texas fans we're tough on our athletes. And I'm not saying everybody, y'all know who I'm talking about. Baseball's hard as hell. Okay. And you're seeing some really dang good pitching at the top of this collegiate level. And these guys are capable. There's a reason that they wear Texas across their chest, and they're all going to have stretches where they play really, really dang well, and maybe where they struggle for a moment because, again, this is the best competition that there is at their level. So I'm a big fan. I think personally that Texas finds a way here to take 2 out of 3. I'm going to go with Friday and Sunday win. I think we're going to win a low-scoring game Friday night. I'm going to return the favor from Mississippi State Saturday. And then I'm going to think Sunday we see it. Well, I guess it would be game 2 Sunday. See some fireworks. Y'all care to give a prediction or?
I feel really good. I feel like our offense, kind of what Nash was talking to, it is a lot different in some of these SEC parks versus the Dish. And I think that you're going to see, hopefully, some of these slugging numbers go up on the road. I think we're going to see a lot more power, kind of like what we did outside of Dish Falcon in some of these earlier series where we were hitting the ball really hard, hitting the ball getting extra bases, home runs, stuff like that. So I think that's kind of what I'm excited to see is a little bit more of our power. It's going to be more evident.
Not just that too, but like also the wind is going to be blowing on our side, especially on Friday. I know that didn't really work. It's actually hilarious that when we have like gale force winds and in Las Vegas, we don't hit a single home run, right? But we still put up a ton of runs on Illinois. And then same thing with the Dish. As soon the first day that 25 miles an hour blowing in, no problem. Like let's hit a few dingers, right? But we got winds blowing 15 miles an hour for us. But at the same time, a few of these balls that they hit would have been a home run at a Duty Noble. So we'll have to see. That also does kind of go on the other side. There's been a couple of there's been a couple balls that we've had, that turn out to be fly out outs. But hey, these would be home runs at Knoxville or Duty Noble. So it does kind of go both ways. I'm really interested to see that a lot of people seem to be dropping the Saturday game. And I don't know if that's just because they're predicting a late start on Saturday or even potential just a wrench in the routine from Luke Harrison. But if I had faith, I'm going to go throw faith in Luke Harrison and Jared Spencer and say
you should.
The first two games are going to be the ones that we take. But I'm really interested to see how that messes with our routine. I think that a guy like Max Weiner is going to have these pitchers on, even if we have to have a doubleheader. I think that, he's going to have them prepared and have them in the right mindset. I've really been, I sounded way too overconfident on my Inside Texas show that I did. And I said sweep, and I've been trying to talk myself out because this is a good Mississippi State team.
It is.
I think that we are on a track for a very special season. I think we go through. This is too good of an offense from Texas.
It's a really, really good lineup, and they've all been effective at some point early on here. And then you have other guys that you can throw in there as well that have contributed. Gage, you didn't give a prediction. You want to give one, or?
Yeah, I think we're going to win 2 games.
I thought
okay. Oh, my bad. Maybe okay. I don't know how I missed that. So there you go. Nash with the sweep. Gage and I have us winning 2 out of 3. I'll be honest, if we won 2 out of 3 every single weekend, I'd be a very, very happy camper.
Yeah.
Just get it done, baby. Win on Friday, win on Sunday, I guess, this week, because it sounds like Saturday might be a pretty tough pull as far as getting a game in. But thanks for doing this, guys. Thanks for coming on, talking a little bit baseball, a little basketball. Nash, I know you prefer one to the other, but when we beat A&M, all are welcome to get on here as part of the roasting.
There's one real B-ball. Okay.
One.
This is not a negative. This is not. I know I said I would never say another negative thing about Texas basketball ever again. That's not a negative thing. It's just, if in my mind, there's only one real B-ball.
You live in a state where a lot of people feel similarly to that, Nash, and it is what it is. Go Texas baseball. Go Texas everything, man. It's great times right now. Texas is beating A&M pretty obliviously into the mud here during the 2024-2025 athletic school year. It's been tough for the Ola Aggies, so welcome back. I guess there's a reason they didn't want to play those games, but
go to the Big Ten. Run off to the Big Ten now.
Tomorrow, 2:30, you got Texas, you've got Tennessee. A must-win game for Texas. If Texas loses, I think it's a genuine coin flip that they get in the tournament. A win, I'd consider them a lock. So we have that. We have baseball in the great state of Mississippi tomorrow. Lounge Dog, if you're still watching, enjoy that. I know you got a lot of Texas visitors coming your way, and you're playing a great host, as always. Chris, thanks for being here. Clint, I appreciate all the activity in the chat. It's been a lot of fun seeing you guys get in here, share some opinions. Means a lot. Throw a quick like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We'll see you again sometime this weekend. Y'all have a good night.